the top stories tonight in Y News. The Department of Information and Communications Technology says China wants cooperation on cyberattacks probe. Legal counsel for the alleged victims of the Duterte administration's war on drugs indicates that apart from the former president, the ICC may also consider issuing an arrest warrant against Senator Ronald De La Rosa. A senator slams House lawmakers for practically bullying the senators with their repeated tirades over the issue of charter change. And later on, we will discover why Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected Hamas ceasefire proposal and called it delusional. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, February 8, 2024. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Hardy Delgado. First in the news. The Department of Information and Communications Technology divulged that the Philippine authorities are coordinating with Chinese counterparts and prosecuting those behind a series of cyber attacks, which were launched by hackers earlier believed to be operating from China. Nelma Bohok reports.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, has confirmed that China approached the Philippines to cooperate with the investigation against the recent thwarted cyber attack. The said action is related to the DICT tracing the cyber culprit who attempted to breach the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, under state-owned telecommunication company in China. At the Palace press briefing on Thursday, February 8, DICT Secretary Ivan Jan Uy said China is willing to help in the investigation of cyber crimes.
Actually, they have reached out to ask if we can do some cooperation. Dahil it's actually both ways, no? Cooperation has to come as a mutual activity. So they are willing to help. They have mentioned that if we can share with them kung ano yung nangyari para mahanap daw nila kung saan at sino yung gumawa nun.
Secretary Uy said they do not want to speculate on the motive of the hackers, but said that anything is possible when asked if China's reaching out to the Philippines rules out this suspicion that it has something to do with the South China Sea issue.
Well, that's not for us to come out with that conclusion yet, no? It's too early, but anything is possible. So we just need to, I think, currently take it at face value and see how things develop.
The DICT recently said it foiled a series of cyber attacks on government email addresses and websites. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Legal counsel for the alleged victims of the Duterte war on drugs said that aside from former President Rodrigo Duterte, the International Criminal Court, or ICC, may also issue an arrest warrant against Senator Ronald De La Rosa. Dante Amento tells us why.
Attorney Cristina Conti, International Criminal Court or ICC Assistant to Counsel and lawyer for the war on drugs victims of the Duterte administration, believes that former Philippine National Police or PNP chief and incumbent Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa is among the principals behind the bloody drug war. De la Rosa was allegedly at the forefront of the implementation of the anti-drug campaign o Plan Tukhang.
In the case of the Philippines, there could be two or more. If you ask me, most likely, Senator Bato will be among those who will be considered most responsible. It is because he has been mentioned in several documents issued by the Office of the Prosecutor.
Hence, Attorney Conti said that aside from former President Rodrigo Duterte, the ICC may also issue a warrant of arrest against the legislator should the evidence suffice. There are other actors behind the alleged crimes against humanity in the Philippines.
When they found that there was reasonable basis to believe that there are crimes against humanity committed in the Philippines, President Duterte, then Chief PNP Chief Bato de la Rosa were among those named as probably responsible.
Meanwhile, in his recent interview, Senator de la Rosa admitted that his apprehension is to be separated from his family. However, de la Rosa believes there is no evidence to indict him.
Takot ko lang makulong, mapalayo ako sa mga apo ko. Yun lang kinatakutan ko na I love my apo very much. Tapos lalaki sila na wala silang lolo. Ano ko dadalhin sa dahig yun, just in case makulong ako.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRMC, remains hopeful in their search for survivors amid the tragic landslide incident that struck Zone 1, Barangay Masara, Maco, Davao de Oro. Despite the challenges posed by the rugged terrain and persistent rainfall, rescue operations persist 2 days after the calamity occurred on Tuesday night. Efforts are ongoing, albeit hampered by the looming threat of further landslides. The NDRMC underscores the precarious conditions, emphasizing the soft ground that heightens the risk of additional slides. Despite the deployment of heavy equipment, such as backhoes, and to aid in the rescue efforts, caution is paramount to prevent exacerbating the situation.
Bilang isang observer, no, ako talagang hindi ako nawawalan ng pag-asa, no, saka I still hope that we find the survivors in the midst ng landslide, no, pero either or, no, we continue to find dun sa mga tao na nawawala at saka posibleng nandun sa ilalim ng pagguho. Iniingatan natin na nililimitahan natin, ano, kasi baka mamaya yung mga, siyempre mabibigat yung mga heavy equipment, so we are making sure na hindi yun maka-trigger ng further landslide.
Several members of the House of Representatives asked the Department of Transportation to have an open mind on the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, or PUVMP. This is amid accusations of irregularities, issues on cooperatives, and impact to the livelihood of drivers and operators of this component of the program. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
House lawmakers wonder why the Department of Transportation, or DOTR, insists on implementing the franchise consolidation of public utility vehicles, or PUVs. They say this component of the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, or PUVMP, faces numerous problems. Representatives emphasized this during the hearing of the House Committee on Transportation on the implementation of public transportation modernization.
Why there is an obsession with the consolidation of franchises. At sa tingin ko, kung safety ang issue, mas maganda po kung individual ang prangkisa. Simple lang po. Agree po tayo, consolidated ang operations. Pero para sa akin, individual dapat ang prangkisa.
In addition to the severe impact on the livelihoods of passenger jeepney drivers and operators, there are accusations of irregularities, issues with cooperatives, and possible deficiencies in public transportation, which raise concerns about its full implementation.
Napakarami po talaga nung irregularities, no, na hinaharap nitong PUVMP na sinasabi ninyo, no?
Lawmakers are urging careful consideration of their concerns regarding the compulsory nature of PUV franchise consolidation, suggesting that it should perhaps be made optional.
Now that we are realizing that the consolidation ay yung po ang magiging deadline, para po bang sinaksak na naman po kami sa likod nito? Kawawa po yung mga tao, Mr. Secretary, and I believe na dapat po ang consolidation is optional.
Sana po, you keep an open mind. Marami pong deep ang implications kapag pinipilit po natin na consolidated ang franchises. And ang number one po dyan is safety.
According to Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. supports the consolidation of PUV franchises. He also stated that the directive of the President is to continue with it. However, government agencies are willing to discuss the issue regarding the proposal to maintain individual franchises for PUVs.
Pag-usapan lang namin if we can allow the members to keep their franchise. So pag-usapan po namin and then we will report to you.
Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has announced that the Project Steering Committee will explore the possibility of making franchise consolidation optional. In the midst of these deliberations, Transportation Secretary Bautista has made a request to lawmakers.
Itong programa ay simulan noong 2017, ano? And I understand that hearings have been conducted since 2016, no? Ilang taon na po tayo kung nag-hearing tungkol dito sa ating PUB modernization program, no? Siguro po baka mabuti magkaroon talaga tayo ng isang batas, no, para ma-implement natin itong PUB modernization program.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the Palestinian militant group Hamas has released a ceasefire proposal to end the 4-month-old war in the Gaza Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, however, rejected the offer and calls it delusional. Paul Gatchalian tells us the details live. Yes, Paul, good evening.
Good evening, Marvy. As a response to an earlier proposal by the United States and Israel, the Hamas militant group has released details of its ceasefire offer to end the 4-month conflict in the Gaza Strip. The proposed ceasefire of 4.5 months involves the release of all hostages of both sides and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. Based on the proposal, the first 45 days would allow temporary halt to military operations, end of aerial reconnaissance, and repositioning of Israeli forces far outside populated areas in the entire Gaza Strip. It also includes the release of Israeli women and children aged 19 and below, as well as all elderly and sick hostages. In addition, part of the offer is the release of Palestinian women, children, elderly, and sick from the Israeli jails, as well as the release of 1,500 Palestinian prisoners. The first stage of proposal would also entail an increase of humanitarian aid into Gaza, rebuilding of damaged establishments such as hospitals and homes, and providing services and establish shelter camps for population. Just hours after the release of Hamas ceasefire proposal, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the offer and calls it delusional. Netanyahu remains in his position to bring about the collapse of Palestinian militant group. However, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken sees Israel's rejection as a room for improvement. Blinken stated that he will continue with the negotiations to reach an agreement. Back to you, Marvy.
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian, reporting live from New Zealand. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, arrived in the United Kingdom yesterday, February 7, to visit his father, King Charles III, just days after Buckingham Palace announced the king's cancer diagnosis. The youngest son of the king flew from California to the United Kingdom for the visit. Reports indicate that their meeting lasted only 45 minutes. The king is scheduled to depart with Queen Camilla for Sandringham House. It is also reported that Harry will return to the United States later today. Meanwhile, Prince William, Prince of Wales, has officially resumed his public duties. He led an investiture at Windsor Castle and attended a gala dinner for the London Air Ambulance charity. During the event, the prince expressed gratitude to everyone who has extended messages of support to their family during the challenging times ahead.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you also for the kind messages of support for Catherine and for my father, especially in recent days. it means a great deal to us all.
The Department of Transportation has announced its intention to implement a fare increase for the MRT-3 by April of this year. This move comes as the department seeks to address financial challenges and ensure the sustainable operation of the mass transit system. JP Nunez details why.
The fare of MRT-3 lagged behind other mode of transportations which has been granted fare increase for the past years. MRT-3 management said it was 2015 when the railway system had an adjustment to its fare. As to date, the government is subsidizing about 87 pesos to the fare of every passenger boarding the train. It came from the annual budget released to the Department of Transportation. According to MRT-3 management, they aim to implement a fare increase by April or May this year. This will help to lessen the subsidy that is coming from the National Fund, which can be utilized to the operation and maintenance of the railway system.
Ang expectation namin is mga baka end of April, ito middle of May. Lahat nagtaas na, no? Ang kuryente, lahat. So sobrang napag-iwanan na rin ang fare ng railways, no? In fact, kahit na maaprubahan ang aming proposal, magiging mababa pa rin tayo actually kesa sa mga aircon buses.
ASEC Aquino also mentioned that their petition for fare hike has been submitted to the Rail Regulatory Unit, which will evaluate their request. They are just waiting for the notice to publish and the public hearing afterwards to decide whether fare increase is on time and needed. The MRT-3 management is requesting a 2 pesos and 29 centavos of increase to boarding fare and additional 21 centavos per kilometer of ride. From the current 13 pesos minimum fare, it will be increased to 16 pesos, and from 28 pesos of fare from end-to-end stations, it will be increased to 34 pesos. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is urging all eligible applicants to take advantage of the resumption of the continuing voter registration starting on Monday, February 12. However, the poll body is issuing a stern warning against intentionally registering multiple times. Chairman George Erwin Garcia emphasized that having 2 or more registration records would constitute an election offense.
Kung kayo po ay registered voter na wag niyo pong i-attempt o mag-a-attempt, magparehistro muli. Makikita po namin yan. Kaya po namin malaman kung kayo ay double or multiple registrant. And therefore, pag naalaman po namin yan, mahaharap po kayo sa kaso ng election offense na may kulong na 1 hanggang 3 taon.
In the previous 2023 barangay and SK elections, COMELEC discovered over 400,000 instances of double or multiple registrants. The word war continues among several members of the House and the Senate over charter change. For a senator, House lawmakers are practically bullying the senators with their repeated tirades. This report will tell us why. Senator Sonny Angara slammed some of their counterparts in the House of Representatives, whom he believes are almost bullying them for their continued verbal attacks. Angara, who heads the subcommittee tackling the resolution of both houses, or RBH number 6, hit some congressmen for speaking against them on the issue of charter change, citing their frequent press conferences.
So you think, sir, that the House is bullying the Senate na?
Ha? O parang ganun eh. Parang ganun na lumalabas. Biro mo araw-araw. Di ba parang bully yun? Pumunta ka ng CR, tapos andun na naman yung bully. Di ba parang inaaraw-araw kami? Parang, guys, mag-break naman. Parang time out. Magtrabaho naman tayo, di ba? Pag binubuli ka na, hindi ka sasagot. Di ba naman pwede?
For his part, Senator Francis Cheese Escudero turned the table against House Majority Leader and Zamboanga 2nd District Representative Manuel Jose Dalipe and challenged him and other congressmen to admit that the House was behind the so-called fake People's Initiative. Earlier, Dalipe dared senators to reveal to the public whether or not they are in favor of changing the charter. Angara plans to finish the Senate deliberations on the economic chacha by October, in time for the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC's finalization of ballots for the 2025 election. elections. This despite the earlier pronouncement of the poll body that the plebiscite cannot be done concurrently with the midterm elections. But the senator cites a Supreme Court decision which he says allows its simultaneous conduct.
Kaya nga gusto ko sabay sa elections para may pananagutan ng mga kandidato, di ba? Kung ano yung posisyon nila sa tsa-tsa, dapat tatayo sila sa entablado at ipapaliwanag sa tao. Yan, kaya ito ang naging paninindigan ko dahil dito, so and so. Whether pro or against sila, mapag-usapan.
The Angara-led subcommittee will hold its next hearing on RBH 6 on Monday, February 12. We're expected to attend are several legal luminaries and representatives from the business sector. Horadine Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. It has been reported that only one public school in Metro Manila managed to surpass the minimum proficiency level in the 2022 Program for International Student Assessment, or Pisa. Teachers are emphasizing the urgent need for proper intervention programs to address this issue and ensure that students can achieve at least the minimum proficiency level in future assessments. Jed Medicina explains why.
Teacher Mary Rose Dayan La Chica believed that having a proper intervention program can help schools achieve the minimum proficiency level in the Program for International Student Assessment, or PISA.
Kailangan po talaga na kapag may ganito, talagang may maayos tayo na intervention program.
She added that the children need to be familiar with the kinds of questions that will come out in the assessment so it will be easier for them. The kinds of questions in the Philippines are different compared to other countries. That is why students should prepare.
Isama po nila yung type of questioning ng PISA questions. No? Isama nila kung paano kine-create yung mga tanong sa PISA dun po sa assessment. Kasi kailangan po familiar din yung bata kung paano po yung pagsagot ng mga PISA question.
The school also ensures that the learning competencies that students should know are being taught to them.
Sinisigurado namin through monitoring and supervision na yung mga learning competencies ay maituro ng mga teachers. Kahit na online ng mga panahon na yon, ino-observe namin sila online.
Children's comprehension is also very important in answering questions, especially as higher order thinking skills are required in PISA.
Napakahalaga na may comprehension yung bata. Kasi hindi nila masasagutan yung PISA question kung hindi nila naiintindihan yung question.
Benigno Aquino High School was surprised when they got a mark beyond the minimum proficiency level in the 2022 PISA. According to the principal of the school, Lilibet Sagmaken, they were very proud and happy since they didn't expect this because the students were chosen at randomly. Jen Neresina, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Tourism has unveiled plans to introduce layover tours for transit passengers, slated for launch in the second quarter of the year. Meanwhile, today marks the inauguration of the country's premier entertainment hub with the launch of hop-on, hop-off bus tours. Gladys Tuabi details why.
Airline passengers with connecting flight in the Philippines can now have the chance to have a glimpse of the country's rich culture and tourist attractions, as the Department of Tourism is set to launch layover tours in second quarter of 2024. Tourism Secretary Cristina Garcia Frasco says technicalities of the processing for the said project are under negotiation with national agencies.
For the very first time, meron po tayong in the works na ngayon na layover tours para sa ating mga layover or transit passengers. So imagine just having a few hours but being able to get to know the Philippines through our Philippine hop-on, hop-off bus tours. So we're now in discussions with our fellow national government agencies, including, of course, the airport authorities, the Bureau of Immigration, Bureau of Customs, and the like.
Frasco added that such innovation can add competitive edge in the country's tourism.
So we're very hopeful na isa na naman to sa mga innovations na ma-introduce natin to Philippine tourism para mabigyan yung Philippines ng added competitive edge to become Asia's tourism powerhouse.
Meanwhile, earlier today, February 8, DOT National Capital Region has launched its third and latest hub for hop-on hop-off tours, the Entertainment Hub. This new route will traverse the cities of Pasay and Parañaque, showcasing their vibrant entertainment hotspots.
Napaka-positive po ng response ng ating mga turista dito sa ating Philippines hop-on hop-off bus tours. Kasi binibigyan niya yung ating mga turista ng convenience to be able to book their own tour or to partner with our travel agencies and tour operators through a mobile app na pwede mong i-download. Bahala ka mag-curate ng tour mo. You can go at your own pace because the bus tours have several runs that go throughout the day.
Both local and foreign tourists can now indulge in the leisure and entertainment offerings of these two dynamic cities. Secretary Frasco emphasized that these initiatives align with the administration's directive to elevate and enhance the quality of tourism services. Gladys Tubabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And in other global news, members of North Korea's Supreme People's Assembly voted to dismiss all agreements related to economic cooperations with South Korea. Furthermore, they also voted to repeal all laws governing economic ties with the South, including the special law on Mount Kumgang National Park, which brings in millions of South Korean visitors across the border. The North previously said that it considers the South as an enemy at war after it dismissed a military agreement last year, which aims to de-escalate the tension around the border. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said that the decision was an extraordinary change, despite understanding the motive behind the move. However, Yoon said that he will remain open to engaging with the North's leader Kim Jong-un, including holding a summit to discuss the matter or to provide aid to boost the economy. The United States military has carried out a drone strike targeting a senior leader of the Iran-backed militia Kataib Hezbollah, who is allegedly behind attacks on U.S. military bases in Iraq and Syria. The drone strike conducted in eastern Baghdad was part of the phased retaliation promised by U.S. President Joe Biden in response to the killing of 3 U.S. soldiers and the injury of 40 soldiers in an attack on Tower 22 base in Jordan on January 28.
We've been, as I said, very clear from day one that anyone trying to use the conflict in Gaza as an excuse to expand the conflict, to attack our personnel, to attack shipping, to engage in any form of escalation that spreads the conflict, we would strong Stanley against that. And that's exactly what we're doing.
According to the U.S. Central Command, the slain commander was directly involved in planning attacks on various U.S. military bases in the Middle East. The statement also denied any civilian casualties in the retaliatory strike. Previously, Kataib Hezbollah Secretary General Abu Hussein al-Hamidawi had stated that the group would cease attacks on U.S. forces in the Middle East following the January 8 attack on the U.S. Tower base.
The response that we've undertaken over the last few days is going to continue, and it's very important that not only do those engaged in these attacks get the message, but that they act on it by ceasing.
After the militant group's attack on Tower 22, Biden had warned in a statement that America would retaliate against those who killed U.S. troops. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Marvi Delfin, live from Australia. Good evening.
Our kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, it says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." And those are the reasons behind the news February 8, 2024. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. Because we need to know. We will always ask why. I'm Harleen Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Actually, they have reached out to ask if we can do some cooperation. Dahil it's actually both ways, no? Cooperation has to come, as a mutual activity. So they are willing to help. They have mentioned that if we can share with them kung ano yung nangyari, para mahanap daw nila kung saan at sino yung gumawa nun.
In the case of the Philippines, there could be two or more. If you ask me, most likely, Senator Bato will be among those who will be considered most responsible. It is because he has been mentioned in several documents issued by the Office of the Prosecutor.
Bilang isang observer, no, ako talagang hindi ako nawawalan ng pag-asa, no, saka I still hope that we find the survivors in the midst ng landslide, no, pero either or, no, we continue to find dun sa mga tao na nawawala at saka posibleng nandun sa ilalim ng pagguho. Iniingatan natin na nililimitahan natin, ano, kasi baka mamaya yung mga, siyempre mabibigat yung mga heavy equipment, so we are making sure na hindi yun maka-trigger ng further landslide.
Why there is an obsession with the consolidation of franchises. At sa tingin ko, kung safety ang issue, mas maganda po kung individual ang prangkisa. Simple lang po. Agree po tayo, consolidated ang operations. Pero para sa akin, individual dapat ang prangkisa.
Ang expectation namin is mga baka end of April, ito, middle of May. Lahat nagtaas na, no? Ang kuryente, lahat. So, sobrang napag-iwanan na rin ang fare ng railways, no? In fact, kahit na maaprubahan ang aming proposal, magiging mababa pa rin tayo, actually, kesa sa mga aircon buses.
Kung kayo po ay registered voter na wag niyo pong i-attempt o mag-a-attempt magparehistro muli. Makikita po namin yan. Kaya po namin malaman kung kayo ay double or multiple registrant. And therefore, pag nalaman po namin yan, mahaharap po kayo sa kaso ng election offense na may kulong na 1 hanggang 3 taon.
So you think, sir, that the House is bullying the Senate na?
Ha? O parang ganun eh. Parang ganun na lumalabas. Biro mo araw-araw. Di ba parang bully yun? Pumunta ka ng CR, tapos andun na naman yung bully. Di ba parang inaaraw-araw kami? Parang, guys, mag-break naman. Parang time out. Magtrabaho naman tayo, di ba? Pag binubully ka na, hindi ka sasagot. Di ba naman pwede?
We've been, as I said, very clear from day one that anyone trying to use the conflict in Gaza as an excuse to expand the conflict, to attack our personnel, to attack shipping, to engage in any form of escalation that spreads the conflict, we would strong Stanley against that. And that's exactly what we're doing. The response that we've undertaken over the last few days is going to continue, and it's very important that not only do those engaged in these attacks get the message, but that they act on it by ceasing